I've got the second half of this owl for you now. If you missed the first half, I've put a link in the description. Alright, so let's get this owl finished. So here's the reference photo that I used. I downloaded this photo from Wildlife Reference Photos, and I've left a link in the description for you. So the first thing I want to do is finish these feathers that are around his neck. So I'll start to add detail with some of the grey that I mixed. And remember, this is mixed from Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Sienna. Now I'm just softening the edge with my wet brush. And then I can just use my liner brush to pull some of that colour onto the feather above. And I'm dropping in a little bit of Winsor Violet now onto the wet paint. Now I'm doing the same thing on this one, a little bit of the grey, and then I can drop the violet in just to mix with the grey. Just adds a little bit of interest to these feathers. I'll take it up onto the dry feather above as well, just to create those feather separations. On this one I've got some gold ochre. Just tidying it up with my liner brush now. Now I've got some sepia on my brush, and I just want to create a dark edge along the feather. And the sepia just bleeds up into the wet gold ochre paint. Okay, some more gold ochre over here. And then I use my liner brush just to run the sepia along the edge again. It just bleeds up onto the feather. Just going to speed this area up now. So this is gold ochre that I'm painting on these feathers. Just painting on dry paper. Now I'm wetting this one with a little bit of water, and I drop in the grey that I mixed. Softening the edge with my brush. Wetting the next one, a little bit of grey, taking it up onto the feathers above. A little bit of violet now. And this is the grey that I mixed from Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Sienna. So just painting it carefully along the edge of the feathers. And then every now and then I'll take some of the paint up onto the dry feather just to create those separations in the feathers. Now I'm running sepia along the edge again. So I've finished those feathers now, and now I'm wetting up on the side of the head with some water. And this is gold ochre that I'm painting onto the damp paper. Switch back to my liner brush now, and I'm making sure that I leave a little bit of white paper showing. Now I've just got a little bit of sepia on my brush, just painting it onto the damp paper here. Now I want to deepen the colour on the area above the eye, so I'm just going to paint some water on with my mop brush. And this is my grey mix again. I'm just painting it on with my Maestro brush onto the damp paper. And that damp paper keeps the paint edges soft. This is some Winsor Violet. Just let it blend with the grey. And then I can just take my damp brush and just soften away any edges that I don't like. And I've also done exactly the same thing over the other eye. Now I want to move down to the side of the owl and just create some detail down this edge. I've just painted some gold ochre there, and now I'm painting my grey mix just onto damp paper. And some more of the grey up here as well. Just painting onto the damp paper just so that my paint edges remain soft. And I drop in a little bit of Winsor Violet as well. I've dried that area off with the hairdryer, and now I want to deepen the shadow under his neck, just at the base here. So a little bit of water first. And then some Winsor Violet. I don't think I've got quite enough water there, so I'm just putting a little bit more water now. Just softening the edges with my brush. It wasn't quite wet enough. So I've come back in with my Maestro brush and I'm just deepening the colour now. Now I've got a little bit of Ultramarine Blue on my brush. Just blend it with the violet. So that's dry now, and I'm just going to draw in the edge of the wing feather here with my pencil. A few of the markings as well. I'm just wetting the side of his neck here with some water. Now I'm painting some gold ochre onto the wet paper. And some watery violet as well. Now I've got some gold ochre on my liner brush and I'm just running it down the edge just to deepen the colour there. So before I paint the wing feather, I just need to paint some masking fluid onto these markings. And when they're dry, I can wash over with some water because I want to paint some gold ochre onto the wing now. So there's a few areas of gold ochre on the wing that I want to put in. There's another area just here. And there's a softer area of colour down the front here as well. Now I dried it off and now I'm just re-wetting a section of the wing. I've got my liner brush now with some sepia on it. And I'm just going to start to paint all those brown markings that are on the wing. So I'm going to treat this area the same way that I did the top of his head. I'm just sort of scribbling with the side of my liner brush and I'm trying to leave some white paper showing. And the water on the paper, as I said, just keeps the paint edges soft and fuzzy. And I don't wet the whole wing at once, I just wet a small section because it'll dry too quickly on me before I get to it. So you can see that I'm leaving little bits of white paper showing here and there. Now I've dried it off and I just want to deepen the colour up the top here, so I'm just re-wetting this area with water. And this is sepia again. I've got lots of pigment on my brush. As I said, I just want the colour darker at the top of the wing, and then I just want it to fade away to a softer colour as it moves down the wing. So I'm just scribbling with the side of my liner brush. And now that it's dry, I can remove the masking fluid. And when the masking fluid's off, I can just add some detail to these feathers. This is lamp black. I'm just painting it around the white areas that are left. So just speeding this area up. So I'm just using lamp black on dry paper. Okay, so moving down onto these larger feathers at the front of the wing, and I'm painting gold ochre on damp paper here. Now I've got some sepia on my liner brush and I'm just running it along the edge, just letting it bleed onto the feather. And this is my grey mix, so I'm painting on damp paper now. And I've just painted some Winsor Violet there, and this is gold ochre that I'm dropping in. And the paper's wet here where I'm working. Just adding a little bit of detail on this feather with some burnt sienna. So everything's dry now, and what I want to do is start to add the little spots that are all over his body, and I've got to deepen the shadow up here. So I'll deepen the shadow first, and this is the grey mix that I'm painting on damp paper. Now I'm just deepening the gold ochre colour here on the side as well. Now this is sepia, and I'm just painting it on dry paper. So I'll speed this area up. So just use my liner brush and watery sepia, and I'm just painting those little spots that I see all over his body. I'm just adding some more detail here to his neck, and this is the grey mix that I mixed, and I'm just painting it onto damp paper. I'm painting underneath the feathers. Just removing my pencil lines now that it's dry. And I'm doing the same thing here with some Winsor Violet this time. Now I'm using some white ink just to create some really fine wispy feathers. I could also use white gouache to do this. Okay, so now it's time for the big reveal. This is the favourite part of my painting, when I get to see all my hard work revealed. And there it is. Ta-da! I hope you enjoyed watching me paint the barn owl. For weekly tutorials, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And for those of you who don't know, I have watercolour online classes where I show you my painting process step by step in great detail. I have more information about it on my website, and I've put a link in the description for you. So thanks guys, and I'll see you next time.